to see if the Ravens could be opportunists here as well. Send this over to Bryson 10, fellas. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Yes, let's get right into this game. Of course, London versus Minnesota. A lot of interesting things kind of breaking out of this one, of course. London looking to stop what some people thought might have been a backslide, a rebuild here for the Ravens. Maybe it should be a Phoenix with the return of Gizmo. On the other side of it, Minnesota ton, they are in some serious trouble. They need another good split here. They need these 10 points to get them into top 8.
They absolutely do. Whereas for Ravens, as we've already said on the desk, it is one of those games that can put them not quite out of sight from the rest of the teams, but it puts them in such a good spot. A massive, massive game in the general implications of who is going to champs. And it's a strange old map set. We had a little look through it. It can kind of lean one way towards the rear end of it. If we do get towards maps 4 and 5, you'd look maybe a little bit further towards Røkkr, especially map number 5. But London Royal Ravens, these first 3-4 maps are very, very doable for them. But it's not the best of starts when Standy's doing things like this. 5 in a row from him. Røkkr locked down P1. It's a fantastic start from the Minnesota side.
Unbelievable. Standy now playing for streaks just off P1 alone, and you can see London trying to make sure they don't get every single point from this one. That's a huge shutdown from Nasty in the end. And I'm going to ask you this question as well. One of the big stories coming out of last week about London has to be about Zero. Unbelievable performances on the 2 hard points we saw him going off on. Is that going to be a consistent thing? And what do London do if it's not?
Well, that's the thing. You look at this London side and sort of say to yourself, okay, they have the guys in there to put up those numbers. If you were to pick anybody on that side who's going to put up the most, Zero would probably, typically on paper, be the last that you would say. But, I mean, he's going to have to do some good work here. You can see the stack coming in from Minnesota. There's the first one on the book. Can he find a second here with the help of his teammates? Good shots onto Priestahh. That's sort of stemmed the flow of Røkkr players that have found on through, but Standy finds himself round behind, finds a second. He is the guy for Minnesota so far. They break it perfectly. London towards the back. Minnesota Røkkr driving seat at the moment.
Yes, Standy just shutting it down a little bit, but eventually that back alley was open, and Nasty's going to get a second kill with that grenade as London look to try and convert all of these points as they can. They do have numbers now. You can see them flooding eventually, and Nasty goes from the high rope and takes him down. The rotation is going to come in. London will be in the lead, but can they break this early?
Just a little observation that we had actually on the desk there as well, heading in towards this third hills. This game's very, very close. The last 3 times that Minnesota Røkkr have played this match, they've lost, the last 3, average of 3 to 4 points they've lost. It's absolutely nothing. Over the last 3 defeats, it's only been 11 points difference between them and the 3 teams they went up against. It's absolutely crazy. Every single game we see from Røkkr here on this map is so, so close. And well, we're seeing a little bit of an example of that to kick things off. Priestahh in a good spot here in mid-map, and it's going to get shut down by Gizmo, but Minnesota Røkkr have dug their heels in. Very good at locking down hills on this map when they do get those rotations. They have it right now at P3.
Yeah, this hill can get a little bit crazy. And at the moment, it's taken London a long time to get in here, and they're holding it down well. But Gizmo gets that first pick here. Attach is now going to come under pressure. He knows players are going to be pushing him, but his teammates are still holding the angles he needs to just keep his sight lines open enough. Nasty's going to come through eventually through fire, and Attach still alive at the back. Hasn't really been made that relevant as they are not challenging him. Eventually, they have to hit the hammer, and Attach will get 2 and lock that one down.
And I mean, our stats are really just coming up and proving to be correct here. We had a look towards the beginning of the series as well. London, the worst team in the game at P3 when it comes down to Tuscan. And, well, that's the first time we're going to see a decent lead for the side of Røkkr. 30 points now, but this rotation comes in for the Ravens. It's been very rotational heavy from these teams. Of course, that's something you will see on Hardpoint, but these rotations have been locked in. They've been steady, but the rest of the teams coming on through. The players from Røkkr here getting their way into Church. Afro will find 2. Havok finds a break on through, and it's just far too easy for the Røkkr to find themselves inside. Only Zero towards the back who can pinch it.
Trying to stay alive and eventually will go down as Gizmo gets another clean come through. It will be London who take control of this now, and Gizmo just continuing to open up the back here. This has been the player that a lot of London fans are hoping will reignite this roster into their previous form at the start of the year. You can see London just desperately scraping for every point they can, eventually losing it as the kills don't go their way, and Afro has to play his life with 36. Eventually coming through, but doesn't need to. Zero here, but rotation again to Røkkr ton.
Yep. Very clean rotations, as mentioned. Røkkr, very much the ones who have been doing the better job of that, I would say. And P5 is a good one for them. Best team on the game in terms of points accumulated on this hill at this moment in time. You can see the setup that they got. Somebody over towards the P2 side, ready for the push to come through radio. But look at the stack coming in here from London. Break might come in a second.
They're trying to get through into this eventually, and it's always difficult here at P5, and Zero now coming through. We know there's one last Røkkr player left at the bottom here, and he's going to be taken down easily by Nasty in the end. Gizmo pushing out the same way. And it is going to be London's hill at the moment. Reinforcements will be incoming. Minnesota taking this a little bit slow as they try to get enough bodies in here to make this push work.
0 2 kills to his neighbors. A very late flank that came on through. 2 kills will all he will get. Can the rest of the team maybe do something here as Gizmo will then fall? London Royal Ravens seemingly broken back here, but to be honest, considering the rotation was there for Røkkr, London have not done too badly. Standy attached inside the point, Standy and attached dead. Rotation over towards P1 started coming through with only a few seconds remaining over towards the final hill of that first rotation, and it's Gizmo first here. So Ravens were behind around 30 or 40 points at one stage during that first set of hills. They brought it right back with a decent hold over towards P5 there, find themselves in the lead.
You can see this is the setup. Instead of Røkkr trying to go for this pinch, you can see them trying to swing through you here. Standy gets one. He's going to look for the train. He's going to find 2 as well. They looked the wrong direction, and Gizmo took full advantage of it. And then look to lock this in even harder. You can see all of Minnesota are a little bit coy about pushing this. They don't have map control. They know there is an awful lot of chest high cover to get through. Nasty just going to try and hold down mid a bit here and somehow get Standy as well. And Minnesota are about to be flanked. They are not getting near P1. It's all going to be about P2 for them.
And Minnesota, I mean, they kind of just give that up early. You see the rotation in coming in from Havok. He's not really expecting but 2-3 teammates to be able to break what was a really nice hold over towards that P1 side from London, who get every single point over towards that first hill. Now we're heading over towards P2, the Røkkr. Heels are dug in. Can they lock this in, Bryce?
Let's find out with the London listening.
Hey, I'm gonna go down.
Let me bring your flat. Ready?
Charlie now.
Nothing blue first. Standy weak. Nice, good
Touch his flat.
Nice, bro. Stay alive.
Stay alive. Came close.
Have
Back then.
Nice, have your up.
If you want, Brian.
Yeah, I'm pushing. Let me run.
Right. Nice, so you close the streets, Brian. You close the street. No, I'm trying to run back. You got my elbow. Yeah, one's cross. Brian. One shot.
Have.
There's 2 of them, okay? Have your round. Close, Charles. Close. Respond in. You're gonna be front in your front now. Nice. One more. There's one more.
Listen, this is big.
I'm trying to top first.
Leave you.
Yeah.
Comes down. Slower comes down. I'm going right.
Yes. Take our time. Top five. Priestahh. Marcus, just clear maps and wait for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna win, bro.
Right, listen, go right with me here, Trey, if you can.
You wanna go right, yeah? No, you should go middle. He's on.
He's on.
Okay.
I'm left right now. You don't see jump out the window and go 5 if you want, bro.
Hold on.
Oh, he's far left. Hold on the window. On the chimney.
Touch must have backed up.
One shot Standy tiles.
One stop fire.
Someone take the longer. We have 70 seconds.
Stop fire.
Then him.
I've done him in time. I'm nearly far.
Some pitches. Give me a set of.
Fire, one shot.
Don't make noise.
He's on the back eddy. Back all the way up. Attach on the back eddy.
Standy, that's
Right, listen, he's behind the fountain.
Yeah, one's on the back eddy.
He's behind the fountain, watching fire. Behind the fountain, watching fire.
I need.
Turn around and watch your pink fire.
Yeah, I got it. Throw in challenge.
I got it now.
Let's
Touch is on the free.
See, line down. Nice, good kill.
Yeah, I'm staying.
I'll go far left.
Back at one shot.
I'll get you close.
I'm shouting him now.
Touch one shot on the back eddy. I'm leaving it. Go
Leave me. You guys spawn out?
I'm going for P1.
They're already going to do, Marcus.
They're not mobs. Yeah. Come.
Well, usually at this point I make some comment about the comms, but I'm not going to. I need to talk about nasty, unbelievable plays during that listening. And London are on the cusp of winning this game, Ton.
Dude's going off. I mean, we've seen a complete team wipe coming in from him over towards the P2 break. Over towards P3, he's the one that eventually breaks it open for around 20 seconds of time that Røkkr really did need. Rotation over towards Church, though. Did belong to Røkkr, but does it for very long. 0 Gizmo find a way through. It's just clean cut from the team that was so good at breaking hills at the beginning of the game. We're seeing echoes of that once more. Fantastic stuff from London. They attack from a few different angles, and we're so good over towards P5, which we're going to be going towards in 20 seconds' time. London are about that away from the win.
They are, and they're looking to get back into this church control, and you know the same old story. Røkkr have to fight for this scrap time. They really don't want to get them too close. They can't win here, though, and we will see them off to the races in a few seconds. But it's P5. Whichever team gets in here first could have a huge hold. 0 already waiting for this one. Røkkr have their reinforcements streaming in, but London are in first. The nades are going to rain, and so are the bodies. Here they come. Minnesota have to break, and they're just diving into this point looking for it, but Nasty again with the 2 peaks. And Priestahh, and Gizmo, and 0, and Gizmo again, and that's going to be the final nail in the coffin, as Gizmo ends up winning out the trades for London, and they take map number 1.
Lovely performance from the London Royal Ravens. The first one, 4/5 of that first rotation were not fantastic. It seemed like Røkkr was starting to stretch their legs, but as soon as that P1 hold comes through from Ravens, it is all the London side from then. Fantastic stuff, and it was the breaks, it was the holds. Very, very well played on hardpoint. And that's a big win to take. Røkkr have had so many teams close on this map. No cigar this time either, but a comfortable win for the Ravens. And we asked if Zero's going to slow down. What's going to happen? Well, Nasty's going to take over instead. 26 and 20 from him. And I don't think we can undermine that enough because of the fact that so many of those kills were huge. That 4-piece over towards P2, no bigger than them. Fantastic work from him. Fantastic work by the Royal Ravens. They take a 1-0 lead.
They certainly do. A lot of time we've talked about Attach being the mainstay of this Røkkr. And not that game, and some of that has to be attributed to the fact that things like the P3 hold, right? Like, he was kind of irrelevant, not because he was in a bad position, but because of the way Minnesota were pushing that hill out. Usually Attach would have a lot more opportunities to engage, but if you can't get into that position, it's just not going to happen. And that's what happened to Attach. Positioning wasn't there for him just because of circumstance a lot of the time. It doesn't excuse it, though, when your team needs that slaying to come through. And unfortunately, it does mean Minnesota Røkkr are going to fall in this first hard point. And again, I have to remind you, you're going to hear me go on about this. Røkkr are in a desperate, desperate fight to make champs. Every single point they can grab in these qualifiers will help them out when it comes to the major.
And honestly, I was just speaking about it there in terms of the turnaround for London specifically. That P5 rotation, I kind of spoke to you about it during the listening, and this was phenomenal from Nasty, which, again, that fourth one, sorry, kind of gets handed on a plate with the trade that comes on through. Fantastic work nonetheless, but the P5 hold over towards the end of P1 was so well worked. Zero was still alive from over towards P4. They started rotating a little bit late. The rest of the team, though, spawning out because of the push that came through from Røkkr towards P4. So they had tiles control, but Zero staying alive radio side was crucial to the break that they found. London then slowly push forward, send everything towards the front, and Zero can peek ground, find two from behind, and all of a sudden London break that, and they do not slow down from there. 250 to 187 is a nice, comfortable win on map number 1.
It certainly is. And one more thing I kind of want to bring up about that is, you knew I made the comment, all right? I said normally I talk about the comms when we come back out of them. I didn't have an opportunity, but now the game is ended. I can. Got to hear out, obviously, for some people at home, those comms, they fire, they're fast, they're furious. You kind of always hear what's going on. One thing I did hear was Zero over and over again commanding his team, reminding them for the fire pinch, for what they need to do next, taking that leader role to push his team where he needs them to be. Individual performances aside, it's always crucial when you can hear a team like that essentially moving chess pieces around the board to give them the best possible opportunity in the next position.
Absolutely. I mean, Zero's been a mainstay of the CDL for quite some time. He is one of the most veteran-style players that we have still left in the CDL. He's been around for such a long time with 3 really new players, has to be said. Of course, Gizmo and Nasty, for the most part, it is their first season, or full first season. Afro in there as well. These guys are not very well nuanced in the big game, if you like. Yes, okay, they've been around Call of Duty for a long, long time, but having somebody like Zero just to calm it down is always going to help out these 3 other boys on the squad who are doing a stellar job for the London Royal Ravens at this moment in time. We had that dip during the mid-season. We questioned what was going on. Of course, Gizmo, whatever was going on with him, he seems to be in a bit of a better headspace now. The team firing on all cylinders at the moment, and honestly caught me by surprise against Toronto. They really, really did. I would have thought it would have taken a little bit of time for Gizmo to maybe get implemented once again. The game has changed quite a bit since he was in this Royal Ravens roster way back when. Things seem to be up and running quite quickly though, Brycey. This could be a fantastic start if they can find a 2-0 start to their regular season. It will be a fantastic way to get yourselves all the way over towards New York. Winners bracket is on the cards.
It certainly is. Still, and I have to kind of bring down the vibe just a little bit here at this point. I'm still looking to try and benchmark this rejuvenated London Royal Ravens team. And the reason for that is against Ultra, yes, we had massive plays out of Zero, and they took down Ultra, a team that they didn't think they would beat. Coming into this one, obviously, Minnesota also having a bad time themselves. For me, coming in, this was basically always going to be London. I think I want to see them against some of the other teams in the league. That's when I can kind of figure out where this team has got themselves back to. Play against the likes of FaZe, play against the likes of Seattle, and see what comes of it in the end. because this could be terrifying. If London Royal Ravens have decided to hit form at this part of the year like they were at the beginning of the year, you remember those statistics back then, the #1 break team, their hardpoint record was pretty ridiculous. They were very heavy slay-wise, almost like a honeymoon return to form for this squad. And while that is an awful lot of praise for them, I am still curious about how real that is and where they are going to go with it.
Let's see how they do on Desert Siege, Search and Destroy. Good game from Nasty and map #1 on Tuscan Hardpoint. All eyes over towards the Search and Destroy. Very, very close map between these two is what we're expecting. And all 4 of the last 4 games that London Royal Ravens have played on Desert Siege, they have went to round 11. They went to round 11, 5 of the last 6 Search and Destroys. They do not do things simply. They do not smoke teams on Search and Destroy. It is close. But nonetheless, let's see if they can get something done. 4v3 situations are good for them, and well, they have one of them. Oh my goodness me! Gizmo through the middle of Paulehx. We've seen it last week. He was the one who made the players in round 11. He's making them a round #1 here against Røkkr.
Oh, he's still attached, and he was going to go for the reach out, and a tiny bit of wood blocked his vision. Nasty, just give him Priestahh, little love tap. Eventually moves away with it as well, but Gizmo gets another one, and Zero locks that round down already. That's 3 for Gizmo off the rip. And that's a justified grin on Gizmo's face. That was a very aggressive push into Paulehx and getting the 2-piece as well.
Getting 1 kill there is fine, but that's got to be traded, right? Those situations, you're on the defensive side, you'd like to see your teammate be able to trade that one out. Of course, we didn't quite see the full spec of it, if you like, but nonetheless, a fantastic start for the Ravens. Puts them in the driving seat pretty much immediately. And he really was the one. I mean, look, he had a solid game last week, but the ace in round 11, just certain moments here and there. Just to make small impacts at the right time to do the business for your team. Nonetheless here, though, over towards A for the side of Røkkr. Royal Ravens ready and waiting. Afro, first blood.
Now, can they convert this once again at the moment? Minnesota sitting pretty, some of them on little lamps, but they are now looking to get back into this. They need that kill back to give them a little opportunity to push into this one. Attach already taking a little bit of damage. And both teams holding their breath, waiting to see who blinks first.
On the moment, London with the kill advantage. Not moving, and well, Priestahh moves into the eyesight of Gizmo. Fantastically done. No, Standy could have done with that kill. Can't quite solidify it. Gets it away with 10 HP in the dream, but he is currently the only one left on his squad. 1 versus 4 for Standy. Not enough time to do it here either. Brycey, another good hold coming on through. London. Solid rounds here so far. They haven't been close whatsoever. Ravens 2-0 up in convincing fashion as well.
Well, I tell you something. A lot of patience coming out of London then. Most teams would send somebody on the flank or figure out exactly where they needed to put their pieces to take advantage of that first blood. They held their position. Minnesota were looking for it. You could see it over and over again. They were trying to find the right pig to get a kill back. London didn't give them anything. And speaking of giving them nothing, Gizmo is 6-0. The rest of Røkkr do not have a kill 2 rounds into this.
Yeah, 3 kills in each of the first 2 starting rounds from Gizmo. Starting off where he left on the previous Desert Siege map. There's another first blood, though, from Zero. And as mentioned, 93% of those are getting converted to round wins for the London Royal Ravens so far. Although that might just be against it here on that statistic front. 2 versus 3 now as Røkkr show somewhat signs of life.
Nasty going to try and make a bit of a difference here. We can see Standy. I don't know if he can. And he can't, but Standy can see Nasty there on the end. And Gizmo now coming in an awful lot of pressure. Eventually he's going to get that glide bomb as well, Tunt. Surely a 1v3 is not on the cards for him.
Well, he found 3 kills in round number 1. Round number 2 as well. He's looking for a couple here as well. I wouldn't put it past him. He's feeling it at the moment.
He has made the moves here. Minnesota have tried to hold him in, and he's finding his player. The problem is going to be time, Tunt. Back and forth he goes. He's looking for a little bit of a gap. Somehow still alive. It's Priestahh again. Priestahh again. And Priestahh eventually wins that gunfight. Gizmo making so many good moves, but it's not going to be enough.
Good effort there from Gizmo, but crucially for the side of London and to the detriment of the Minnesota Røkkr, he gets a hold of that 7th kill, that glide bomb now in his back pocket, and what a map to have it on. Of course, you've got the cover in and around Paulehx, but you really can dictate what you want to do on the map with that glide bomb. I wouldn't quite say it's a secured round for the side of London Royal Ravens, but it'll put them very much on their way to getting another one on the board, you would like to think. But what a start from Gizmo at 7-1. Still the lead here for Ravens. Minnesota Røkkr going towards their more favored A push. Are Ravens ready and waiting?
Oh, that's Afro with the first blood again. Gonna try and get out of it. Stun's gonna hit him as well. Havok's gonna get that one towards the back. Attach on Overwatch. This bomb is going down. And they're gonna have to try and retake. Oh, no, there we go. Straight in with a nade.
This is doable for the side of London, just taking their time, but Minnesota's surviving. And there you go. Well, there's the glide bomb invested. If you're Minnesota, not in the best of positions. Priestahh gets away, but right into the clutches of Nasty, and now it is attached left in a 1 versus 3. There's number 1.
The time is with him. If he makes one more kill here, it's going to be huge. And this will be a 1v3 for Attach. He's like, you can see Gizmo, but Gizmo, no. Gizmo decides, hey, have you not been watching? I've been running this Desert Siege so far. You're not getting the 1v3, and he does it with just enough time. I thought Attach had that. He got the first bullet on, but it's the last bullet that counts. And London go 3-1 up.
That is crucial that London secured that one. If you invest the glide bomb, then get 1v3'd, where's your head at? Gizmo just about clutches that one up. And I feel like the glide bomb was coming in just to make sure, yeah, let's solidify this round. Yeah, we push Priestahh in towards Paulehx. Yes, okay, we find that kill, but you know where thereabouts Attach is going to be. Nearly fed yourselves to the lions there, boys. London Royal Ravens still have that lead. Like a little bit scary for a moment.
Havok, information has been found, but Priestahh will take down Gizmo. This kind of means that London have to reevaluate. They know somebody's on the bomb. They know someone's outside, and Zero says, all right, let's bring this back to the realms of reality. Røkkr still holding fast. This could come down to Havok, but he's been seen and been chased, and Nasty gets him. Attach.
He stopped the
An
net.
incredible flank boat.
No, he didn't see Afro, but he's going to be in such a good position here. Now he's going to be known to be there. Nasty going to be lined up here as well. Attached on the flank. Finds 2, and Zero's left all alone. Fantastic work from Attach. Those are the kind of rounds that... No, plays that win you rounds, I should say. Now Zero left in a difficult spot. 35 seconds remaining.
He took the risk. He went for that long flank. It paid out so handsomely. No time here for Zero, unfortunately. Has to get all the way through to get that bomb and get it to a site. Looking for a player. He's going to see Standy up top, and Standy wins the gunfight anyway. That round goes to the Røkkr. They clutch up in the end.
Feels like these first bloods are so influential here. One goes over towards Røkkr. They find another round. London with numbers seemingly unbeatable, but take that away from them and you can try and dictate it as best as you can. That was just the big fight coming in from Attach, so those are the kind of players that, you know, they're proactive, Pricey. They're not just sitting there resting on the laurels on defense, just waiting to see what happens. Attach making the moves, and that's what's winning them the round in the end. Ravens still up, but so Røkkr has said signs of life, and a little bit windy from Zero in the first, not quite the second though. And there's the first blood. There's 2 coming on through. Standy will answer back. 3v2.
Zero trying to do a little bit more work here, and Havok is going to put that bomb down, but nades come raining in. 31 health. He can actually get out of it. He does somehow make it through. Standy gets another point as well. Røkkr in bad positions and somehow making it work.
This was a 2v4, and now it's a 1v1. Havok going up against Zero. He's been living on a wing and a prayer throughout the rest of this round. He's went down to 30 HP a couple of times. He's down to 6. Now in a 1 versus 0.
Oh, this is unbelievable from Havok. Calls it perfectly there in the end and finds it. And you can see how disappointed London are. They had the advantage. They had the opportunity. But Røkkr are clutching up in these rounds and making it difficult.
Big round, that one. Felt like, you know, London, you put them in a 4-2 situation. They're in a 2v4 to do that. And Røkkr somehow clutch up. These are the kind of rounds that can really make the difference when we get towards the latter stages of the second map. And it's just been big plays out of one in particular player in each round that we've seen. We've seen the big ones coming in from Attach as the hitmarker comes in onto Attach and he just walks away with HP. Havok staying alive and doing so well to do so in the previous. Priestahh now finding the first blood. Minnesota Røkkr, they've been slow to the start, but they've been fantastic after the first 2 rounds.
They have. They're playing this a lot more cautious. Attach is going to be seen. Will be taken down eventually by Nasty. Nasty maybe getting out of it, maybe not. Makes a bit of noise. And all's gone quiet on Siege again. Røkkr and Ravens looking to make a difference here. Standy just on Overwatch, just waiting very, very patiently. And London are trying to figure out where to go next turn.
Trying to make their mind up. Oh, Zero might help them do so. Didn't quite have the shot. The lamppost would have impacted the fact that that kill wouldn't have come through, but the information is gained. Afro sticks a nade on his head. All of a sudden now it's a 3 versus 2, but Havok will find the kill on the Nasty. That's absolutely massive. 23 seconds remaining. London still work to do. Oh my god, Havok.
And Havok gets another 1 ton.
Huge plays. Massive from Havok. I mean, to find the bomb, if you can find that kill a couple of seconds later and the bomb's planted, it's a different situation. But the fact that he stops that bomb going down, massive from Havok once again. And it's taking big plays for Røkkr to find themselves in the lead, but they will care not one little bit.
Røkkr are clutching up over and over again. The numerical advantage is just not going to London. We saw that when 3v3 to 3v2. And then Havok just managed to find the kills he needed to in the most important time. He's on a 4 streak as well. Røkkr now have the advantage into this. And some of it comes off the back of this man. We are on board with him. Kismet, we can see the other side of the door. The old X-ray vision coming in clutch for the Cardcasters. We know what's about to happen, but at the moment, it's all Røkkr Palace control.
And if Havok can convert this streak into a glide bomb, he's a little bit somewhere's off it at the moment, but that could be huge. Zero will find first blood. Can Ravens convert this? We talked about that statistic of them finding a lot of those first bloods and converting them nearly every single time. They did a great job of doing so in the first few rounds, but since then, they have found a couple of first bloods and not been able to do anything with it. So can they do it yet? And tie up the S&D. 4 versus 3. Still for Minnesota, looking for a route through.
Yeah, Minnesota burning a lot of time for this one. You can see London just trying to take the angles here. Havok eventually going towards the bomb.
You seen him, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably been cleaned out or called out. Attach going Overwatch here, trying to thread the needle versus Gizmo, and Gizmo almost takes him down as well. And Priestahh will get one onto Zero here. Minnesota Røkkr again with a numerical disadvantage, have somehow found the kills.
Will he see him?
This player, and he's going to see him just the tiniest bit. Eventually gets him, and now 1 versus 2 for Attach. It's a flank again. It's a flank again.
Dead silence popped.
Through.
They won't hear him. They won't hear him, but there's nobody onto the bomb. He goes to check it, just gets away. I love that play from Attach.
They've left him. They've lost him. Oh, they find him in the end. And Attach may have made the cerebral 200 IQ play. The long flank again. The hide after it. And some people would have been saying maybe he makes 1 kill and then dips out. Obviously, he decided to wait, see if he could burn the time and get the kill on the bomb rather than being caught, but it does not work out. London eventually clutch this one up.
I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing, I suppose, but honestly, I think that was the play. It was the play. I think he just gets unfortunate. If Nasty doesn't see him or land all of his shots so cleanly there, it's probably a round over towards Minnesota because he's going to be able to jump and get the kill onto the player defusing the bomb. All play from Nasty to hit your shots 4-4. We said every single time that London play this map, it goes to round 11. The last 4 times it has done so. Can we see it 5 times in a row?
At the moment, it's London pushing into Palace. And they're waiting again, burning a little bit of time. Gizmo looking to see if anybody's in here to contest him. Moment doesn't see anybody.
Standy.
They're going to find Zero, but doesn't get a kill.
I don't. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how he didn't manage to find that kill, but Priestahh does. Importantly for the side of Røkkr. Now what can Ravens do? Not a lot of time on their side here, but I see 45 seconds. You need to find a kill in the next 15 or so, and then make a move.
Røkkr have their setup. They are happy to sit. They will wait for London to try and break this through and go for the trades. You can already see snapping a bit back and forth. Nasty looking for it. Eventually, Nasty's going to go down to Priestahh as well. London stuck their neck out, and it has been taken off. Zero eventually gets Havok down as well, but time burning here for the Ravens. They do not have the luxury of messing about.
And on the bomb, Standy is ready and waiting for the push to come on through. Has the overwatch from Attach as well. And that's going to be a round over towards Røkkr, surely, unless Zero can do an absolute madness in this amount of time. I don't think he's going to even have the time, even if he was to gun attach. Røkkr 1 round away after what looked like a dismal start. I think they were 3-1 down, but since then they have been very, very comfortable on the map. Attach having a good game, some big players coming out. Havok has found their way to map point. Can Ravens tie it up and send us to around 11 once more?
Well, we will have to find out. You hear Nasty calling out an awful lot there, and the Cams trying to figure out what they can do here. Røkkr have this game in the palm of their hand. This map could go to them, and first blood could be crucial. Already the nades going out.
Oh, they've committed.
They're going to get first, but an instant trade.
Instant trade does come through, very aggressive from the side of Ravens over towards it. Røkkr pushed up halfway up the map, ready and waiting for the push to come through, but still the first blood is traded. aBeZy on his own, and attaches just run straight through the middle of them. It's a 2v3 now for Ravens.
Zero's going to be looking for him as well, and he gets away. Detach just shows him a shoulder and gets out of it. Eventually will be taken down by Nasty. A 2 versus 2 here. Minnesota have time to just take a breath and figure this out. London are probably looking at a retake on A. They are setting up for B.
And I would have liked to see Røkkr maybe push up a little bit. Attaches in the spawn of London. Like, surely they're all turning around just trying to find them, but this engagement, which way is it going to go? Nasty in such a precarious situation. How on earth is he going to get out of this one? Just about inside of Paulehx. Staying alive, 25 seconds to go.
Nasty has just basically hit every single position he can go into. On Overwatch again. And Priestahh will get that bomb down. Standy just waiting. This flank is going to come in. Nasty finds the first. Standy in a 1 versus 2. They're going to be looking for him. If he shoots, they will know exactly where he is going to be. I think he's been seen. Looking for him eventually at Zero. A little bit of a bait and switch coming through there. The noise made by Nasty allows Zero for an easy kill ton.
Fantastically done by the London Royal Ravens. Really nice retake in the end. But how on earth are so many of these games for Ravens go into these round 11s? I know I've said it so many times, but that is 5 games in a row on Desert Siege. And we'll see a round 11 for the Ravens.
Well, maybe the experience will
well,
the edge in this one, but
they've won a couple of them, Brycey. I think they went 2-2, so who knows which way it's going to go. We seen last week, though, aBeZy, 4 kills in that final round. Will he produce that kind of magic once more for the Ravens, or can Røkkr close this out and tie the series up?
Well, at the moment, you can see Minnesota are about even on their round 11 records, and they're going straight for this as well. Early B plant. Not seeing a lot of it here. That bomb is going to go down. And they've got out clean. A full 4v4.
Gets out. That's massive. Røkkr just stacking the site. Havok on the bomb. Little sneaky angle. Now this is down to your ARs if you're the side of Ravens. Can you find a pick somewhere? The push comes in from Nasty. That might be the bold moment that finds them somewhere alongside of it. There's 2 kills, 3 kills, and it's just burst into life for the Ravens. And all of a sudden, Priestahh's only on. Priestahh's dead, and everybody on Røkkr follows him. Phenomenal retake from Ravens. What was that?
That was a Vanguardian Leviosa. Sometimes you're up, and sometimes you're not. Røkkr were in a fantastic position. The bomb was down. They were set up around B. They had 4 players alive, and they did not make a kill in the final round. I will need to watch that again. The trades just did not go their way. Every time a player moved, another London player shot them in the back. That's going to be one of the highlights. Like, watch that again. How on earth did Minnesota not get anything from that final round?
Yeah, production, we need to see that again, because it happened so fast, it's hard to break down. But looking at the first bloods, London getting the majority of them, but we said at the beginning, they were converting them. Towards the latter stages of that map, though, things getting a little bit risky for them. Priestahh, the only one to find first bloods on the side of Røkkr. Had they found a couple more, that might have been a little bit easier, but nonetheless, Ravens, with that final round, I believe we're going to get the chance to see it again. That was wild. I don't even know how it started. I seen Nasty going over the top, thinking surely gets traded by Priestahh outer. Doesn't get the shot on to him.
In the right position quite yet.
Yeah, not quite there, was he?
I think he was playing his life. Like, you got to always expect somebody to be watching that position. There's a power position on that map. One of the things I do want to talk about before we break down that final round, though, is kind of how that all went. London started off so insanely strongly. We're going to see this again. So look how they're set up. And I think, yeah, Priestahh currently is sitting truck. He's going to outside gun. And it's going to be timing, maybe.
Where's the first
kill?
kill?
Not looking.
Where's the first kill
He's
happen?
watching
Yeah.
the over the top.
Oh, it's
Priestahh moved.
Oh, he just about moved, and then it's Zero to find one from the backside. Nasty then comes around the flank, Afro alongside of him. Zero, Nasty, Afro, Zero cleans it up on the Priestahh. I mean, that's just one of those moments where I think Røkkr maybe sees somebody, you turn, somebody jumps out behind you, kills you, and it's like the domino effect, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody turns. Like, you expect that player to be holding your position. And when they lose that first gunfight, obviously you have to fill that gap. The problem is, London, whether it's called timing, positioning, veterancy, experience, you put it down to whatever you like, London were going for the execution, and when they did it, it worked out perfectly, to the point where even London probably wouldn't have expected to get out of that with all 4 players alive. That's not how breaking usually works. But when you've got players having to fill positions, sometimes it does go like that. But the real question is this a 3-0 or a potential reverse sweep? Those questions will all be answered after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you here for more Call of Duty League.
Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew and Zenny. Armor your eyes with Blocks gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Call of Duty League. We are currently on map number 3 of London versus Minnesota. And these two teams are getting a bit spicy, pretty close so far. The hardpoint less so, but the S&D very in the end. And we have entered a wonderful period of the CDL at the moment, because the games now, it's not just about teams winning, London or Minnesota. If you are Minnesota, you've got Ultra, Boston, LA Thieves, LA Guerrillas, Florida, and New York all wanting you to lose this game. Less so for London, of course, because they are pretty safe up that title a little bit. They are higher in the standings, but Røkkr are fighting to get out, and nobody wants to see them do it, Ton.
No, absolutely not. A lot of these teams, you'll be looking at this one and thinking, my goodness me, thank God for the London Royal Ravens. Keep these boys down here. Yes, okay, it puts Ravens maybe just slightly out of the picture of who could be down there with you, but the game is not done yet. Control very much on the side of Minnesota Røkkr. London Royal Ravens, at this moment in time, 1-5 in their last 6 games, and they have lost them all convincingly. That's not been 3-2s. These have been very, very dominant for the other side. But Control overall, 3 losses in a row after 7 wins in a row for the side of Røkkr. Want to try and find that form once more, but for the London Royal Ravens, this is an uncontested hit over towards it. I'm going to try and lock this one in. And yeah, I know we will do so. I'm not quite sure about this from Røkkr. Well, I mean, I know it's an easy one to get, but I mean, come on.
I was going to say, it is kind of the old trope, realistically. I'll give up A, don't give them too many lives, but to not challenge it, we've had 3 kills and A is gone.
I mean, to what benefit do you get from this? Because, yeah, okay, you're going to set up on the map, you're going to put yourself in a good position, but ultimately, these kills are going to be traded. There's Afro's found 1, and all that map presence that you had down this map side is mostly gone already. So what was the benefit there for Røkkr?
So I can probably explain this one, because I think I know roughly what was going on.
Go on then.
Essentially, when you fight for A onto this map, you can put yourself in a pretty bad position of losing a lot more lives than you should do. We all know how difficult it can be to crack B over and over again. Maybe they're playing the life game, thinking if we can keep our numbers up, we should be good, and allow London Royal Ravens to kind of batter themselves on this point over and over again. The backside of that, the other way of looking at it, is that essentially what you're doing is giving London a lot of lives and a lot of time to try and crack B.
It just seems maybe a little bit of a risky one, but nonetheless, let's see if they can hold on. So far, so good. Afro did find himself on a 5-killing spree, but did get taken down. Here comes the flank that's going to be coming through from Havok, a player who has caused, well, havoc on this map in particular. I think it was a, well, like I said, like a 1.32 or something, or 1.34, sorry, on Tuscan Control. On the opposite flip side, the player that has been so dominant for London so far in this series at Nasty, typically a 0.7 on this map, so we're going to have to see the kind of form we see in maps 1 and 2 from him to help London on their way to their first Control victory since Gizmo's found his way back into the roster.
Havok's pushed way out here, a little bit of timing, maybe. I think he's been seen, but he's not been caught out. It's going to be Zero who waits, eventually gets his first kill onto the board here.
That's big.
There's maybe what Røkkr were kind of looking for, setting up this defense as well, but unfortunately they've lost a couple of kills.
Huge.
And we're looking for this player towards the back, eventually been taken down by Priestahh. More kills coming in for Minnesota when they need him. Nasty not able to completely finish that kill as cleanly as he would like. More pressure coming towards him. Attach eventually gets him through. Zero going to find a kill at the same time, trying to keep this alive for his team, and eventually will go down. But Afro now fighting through. It's going to be a complete slugfest here as London have no time left.
Very well played from Priestahh, staying alive. And honestly, I thought when that push came through from the side of Ravens, they just couldn't get rid of those players towards back truck, and it created a bit of a thorn in the side. Priestahh putting the bullets in alongside of Havok here, and now London need to get everything done in 6 seconds. You've got to run, you've got to get inside the point as quickly as you possibly can. Get on the point, get on the point. There's nobody on it. You got to get on the point.
And this is what I was saying. Like, obviously it looks weird for a team to basically not really do an awful lot in a way. Røkkr was set up to try and catch some of the London players. If they got a few down, they probably would have tried to maybe contest A a bit, push up, get a few map controls, and basically kill them in the spawn. Instead, they just went, okay, we haven't really worried about it. We're never going to really keep A away from them in this scenario. As long as we're set up in a good defensive position, you saw Røkkr set up in P5 and have only a player watching back control. It worked out for them. London were not able to get the trades going in their kind of direction at any point.
So let's see if London are going to contest over towards this A side. I don't believe London going to takes over towards B. So no advantage there. So if Minnesota Røkkr can complete an attack, get a hold of it, and even just one tick over towards B, it is a win for them. Zero going to be all on his own here up against Havok and Priestahh. We'll find a route through, so Minnesota concentrate a lot of their efforts over towards B. As all London, though, plenty of reinforcements here. Jeez.
Gonna try to out an attack. Eventually does get one here, but Minnesota looking to convert this. You can see Afro trying to get into a position to stop them jumping through as well, and he does get one, but will be traded out again. Nasty looking for Standy, who he knows is floating around here. The good clear from London. Minnesota will have to try again. At the moment, they haven't really stopped the clock on A either.
They haven't, but I think the tactic was there for the side of Røkkr, was maybe even just to get one tick over towards B. How often are we going to see it when A is still up? You'll see Ravens have at least one player over there just to try and create some sort of presence. They went to try and push over towards B aggressively just to maybe get that one tick, then concentrate on A, and then they get that benefit, of course, of that round number 5. If we do need to see it, they would be on the defensive side, or would have that tick advantage heading into the latter rounds at least. Not going to get that opportunity, though, this time around. They do get a hold of A. Minute and 27 remaining on the clock here, and London Royal Ravens have some defensive work still to do.
Minnesota looking to try and take the back here. Let's jump on, though, and find out what they're feeling with a Minnesota. Listen in.
Green, Afro green, last guy.
You hold the pinch.
I got
What's up, Green? Dead, I'm one shot.
One on the point, zero on the point.
Alright, top five.
I'm on the deck.
Stay left here, stay left.
Oh, you're on low church.
There's one to go.
Top church.
I'm gonna go far with you. P5 here?
Yeah, I'm gonna
B in to go P5 and cut to mid.
He's mid truck.
Mini mid truck.
I'm trying to look at our gate for a second. Done it?
I'm swinging top church right now.
I'm gonna clear out low. I'm gonna clear out low
mid
P5.
truck.
Clear low. I'm gonna need this side P5.
Make sure you hold our pin.
I'm low. Oh, he is low. He's in the upper spot.
Nasty low.
One more
Yo,
P5.
watch our pinch for Gizmo.
One more P5, 100%. Mid, dead.
Nice,
Trying to stay P5.
One more in response.
One more P5. What are you on?
Go fast.
Dead.
Okay, 2 on already.
Going.
Keep leaning from fly, need from fly.
Yeah, he's already plat.
I was in the truck.
Nasty, laying down in my spot. My spot plat.
Dead, one shot. Two
One
plat.
shot. All good. Get nature. Nice. Take your time, Preston. Take your time. You don't
That's what you do.
Yeah, pinch.
Major dog.
Afro's pot. He's close left pot. He's gonna challenge you.
Well, Minnesota trying to break down this Rubik's Cube that the Ravens have thrown up against them. And they've run out of time, they've run out of lives. And it's going to be 1-1 on the scoreboard. Standing with a ridiculous final kill, by the way. And it does mean neither team really able to get anything going at B-Ton.
Yeah, no ticks over towards that B side from either squad in their first attacks. Looking to try and change that one up, but that does put us completely even on the tick side of things. I want to say that Ravens maybe had a better slaying performance there than Røkkr did just about on their defensive side. So that's some sort of advantage for the Ravens potentially, but there's a lot of Call of Duty left to be played. 17-9 out of Afro. Those engagements keep ticking on up. This man's enjoying his Call of Duty right now. MP40 in hand. Absolute menace on the map. This time around, it's looking like Røkkr not giving up ace so easily, Bryce.
They think they're going to have a little bit more chance to play for it, but Afro has found a way through, and Nero gets another one. That could be a tick on the B here. You can see already. Trying to lock it down. Afro towards the back will be crucial. Deflecting any pressure that Røkkr are going to put through. The first jump comes out, and Havok says thank you very much. Nade's coming through as well. Zero has so much work to do as the solo player here. Does get one, but does not get enough, as that tick will not go forward for London, and they'll have to settle for A.
Just about for the side of Røkkr. You don't give up a tick over towards B. This time, as you mentioned, London will make their way over towards A. Røkkr maybe having a little bit of a look at it here. Attach not quite happy to give it up that easily, although he may well just farm a couple of London players here. Be a nuisance on the map. One player from Attach, and not committing to that second gunfight. I think a lot of us in rank play would do that and try and go for it, but staying alive behind enemy lines. So difficult for Ravens now to articulate themselves through the map without worrying about Attach. And the map is kind of all over the place here. Look where London are, look where Minnesota are.
Yeah. Fortunately, Minnesota have a good opportunity to hit this flank here. It's so deadly. They were looking to farm off a spawn, but if nobody actually respawns, you can't farm it at all. London just going to try and stay alive from the squeeze coming through, but Minnesota with a great play. They had control of P5. It's difficult to defend from that position when you're trying to get onto the point. And while London have tried to make things a little bit difficult, they cannot stand against Minnesota.
Yeah, that was tough. You wouldn't expect 3 pushing from radio side, really, would you? And Priestahh finding himself in a spot to watch the flank. London, they're all coming through the front door. Slowly finding their way, and Røkkr don't have anybody attacking on the flank here, so you gotta win your gunfights as London find a way through. There we go.
Havok, it's not going to find that first one, but the attach is coming through, and now Afro goes down as a 2 versus 2 here. There's actually going to be advantage for Minnesota as their reinforcements will be here first, but Nasty tries to make it a bit of an advantage for London. It's not going to work. Zero going to try and hold this door open. See Standy gets one. Minnesota want to try and take him down very, very quickly, and they have done. That's more kills for Minnesota. Their defense is rock solid.
Hasn't really been a route through here from the side of Ravens yet. Afro trying to have a look on the flank, does find one, and that might set something up here for his teammate Nasty. Finds a push inside the hill. Oh, finds a kill at a Priestahh as well. Could that open it up here, Bryce?
I can see them going through it as well. They get it. It's just Standy. It's just Standy left. He has to try and slow this one down. That tick is now coming through. First tick done. The nades will rain from Røkkr as Nasty finds one more, and that's the Havok nade coming over the top. This is why it's difficult to stack this point as well. And Minnesota with the trades are just deflecting a little bit, and Afro will be the last alive and goes down, and that is the difficulty. Not only do nades come in pushing you out of all of your positions, but you have to fight on multiple fronts.
Tick secured for the side of Ravens though, so a small win to take away from this round, whatever happens. 7 lives v 7 lives. This final push going to start coming on through. The shots are in. Nasty will find the first one into attach. You got to move quickly if you're the side of London. Afro's going to get pushed up, but he does have a little bit of company in Zero, but the gunfights are going to be won. Havok, Priestahh, and Standy combining well. And I don't think Nasty's going to capture this all on his own. London Royal Ravens will find a tick, but that will be just about it for this attacking round. But they do have a slight advantage heading into this final defense. If they can keep B cleanly, they'll have defensive round number 5.
Well, this does come down, and Minnesota are going to have to put the pressure on. I will say, I think their defense has looked a little bit better than London's last defense. Let's see what London can do this time. But it is going to be a bit difficult. Even though, like, it's one of these weird things, especially on this map, when you see people kind of pile into B, you kind of know they're only going to leave maybe 1 or 2 on their maximum, because the nade spots on this map are basically etched into every player's mind. You know what's coming as that team hit respawn. You just got to try and weather the storm.
Havok coming in with the flank over towards it. Standy with a little bit of purchase over towards this B side. And that one tick that Ravens fought so hard for may well just be coming through very, very easily here for the side of Røkkr. Not quite. London have to commit over towards B, meaning Røkkr have an easy time with things over towards A. They still send 1 player over towards there, and well, there was a couple more over towards B. They will get dealt with. So Røkkr stopping that clock, giving themselves an opportunity over towards B. Ravens shut that opportunity down though. Looks like they may be, well, forcibly going to have to give up A at this stage as well. Losing far too many kills here, though, the Ravens. And then once again, Minnesota are just a thorn in the side. They've never really gone from B point now. And Standy trying to cause problems.
Standy gets a little bit of bad timing there as well, but the rest of Røkkr are here. Attached trying to hold it down, but he's going to come against so many players looking to cut him. He actually gets out of there. Smart play from Attach in the end. He's going to find Kismet, keeps on going. Minnesota are trying to convert this right here and right now. Zero going to be sitting in the back as he's seen. He's not going to be. He takes down Attach. That is going to be an issue for them. Priestahh, look, keeping this pressure on as Minnesota try to squeeze, but Nasty wins another trade, and this is the problem with B on Tuscan. If you do not get multiple players through on the attack, that attack goes to nothing, and you just have to stay alive and wait.
Zero giving me gillies in the missed vibes over towards the backside of B. They're fantastically well done to stay alive. Afro at the front door, though, 27 and 15. Not the man you want to have to try and get through. Røkkr with a slight advantage on the lives front. Things have calmed down just a little bit. They were causing absolute chaos over towards this B site. Now Ravens gonna have to deal with them after the nades come through and deal with Afro. Nasty from behind. Oh, Nasty finds 3. Give him the 4th as well. Not quite there. Priestahh will take him down. But how many times in this series so far is Nasty just out of nothing lit Røkkr up? And that might just force them away. 1 minute and 10 to go. Røkkr still a lot of work to do if they want to try and close this out and fall. London looking for round number 5.
They are still opportunity though for Minnesota. You can see they want to get back into P5. They have a bit of radio control. Kismet finds one. It doesn't take a bullet in return. Minnesota will have to play this a little bit slower. Kismet takes some damage. He knows a player's here chasing him. He has reinforcements as well. Eventually goes down, but there's the trade they were looking for. Zero now backing up as he's going to get taken down as well. Minnesota have some opportunity here to break through.
Yeah, they really good chance here. All of London over towards the back. If you have Røkkr, even just a tick would be fantastic. Afro inside the point, trying to cause problems. Does find 2. The rest of the squad should be here to clean up shop as well. Nasty with another 26 and 18. 9 lives remaining for the side of Røkkr, and if you're attached, you are just staying alive. 30 seconds left to go. Røkkr gonna have to find a way up the map to give Attach the support, but he needs to try and survive as long as he can. Just try and cause some chaos, and speaking of chaos, Standy Havok find 2.
They've got through. Who's that player that's alive? It's Nasty. He has to just hold them off for as long as possible. They're diving to the point here, but Zero with the nade coming through again, attached towards the back though. They are trying this. Minnesota almost had enough bodies ready to do it, but they just don't win the trades they need. And the time has gone. It could have been a Cinderella story, but they will not end it there. The London Royal Ravens survive into round number 5. And for Røkkr, this entire round could be 10 points. Potentially, they just need to keep alive in this game.
And what they need to do is win an attack. Backs against the wall here for the side of Røkkr. Remember back to the previous stage, Brycey, how flawless they were in control. This will be 4 in a row loss-wise for them if they can't pull this one out the bag. A 3-0 series for Ravens is on the cards if Røkkr cannot find an attacking round here in round number 5.
Kismet knows where Standy is and does a little bit of a dip and a dive and finds it. Even when he was tagged up from the teammate, it hasn't worked out. London locked down the original push that was coming in. And now it's going over towards A. You can already see Havok trying to make a place in Nasty as well. Goes for the little jump around the corner, not going to hit it. And it might be now London who reset the battle line. Who is that going for the huge flag? It's Zero in Minnesota's spawn.
That's a big old fight, that Brycey. Having a look back over towards A, but consequently, Minnesota having a look over towards B themselves. A little bit of presence here, actually. Gizmo, thankfully for the London side, does find 2 attached towards the back. Has to be careful as well. Gets Nasty. Fantastic shots. Should be dealt with in the end. A little bit of chaos caused by Røkkr. Ultimately, though, there's going to be a spree coming in for the side of Gizmo. 5 from him. 8. Now it has to be the target for Røkkr. You're going to extend that clock.
Gizmo's not been having the greatest of the game, but this 5 streak will certainly help him out. But he has to try and get this streak. He knows where Havok has gone. That'll be 6. He'll be looking for the 7th desperately.
This could be huge.
Before this streak, he was like 14 and 29, so...
Oh, look at the timing. Havok turned around. He checked the flank, but didn't check it long enough. There is the glide bomb. A will be locked in. But is that another nail just put into the coffin of Røkkr here? London Royal Ravens still work to do. Røkkr, a lot of work to do.
Look at this. There are players everywhere from both teams. Nasty winning a big gunfight in the church, goes for the pre-fire. Well, not going to work out versus Attach. Havok gets another one. Standy coming under a bit of pressure. They know he's going to be here. They're getting into this point. They're looking for it. Finds another kill here onto this stage, and Havok knows somebody's going to be down here, knows where Afro is. Afro still wins the gunfight. Incoming glide bomb from Gizmo that he worked so hard to get. He will eventually get his teammate as well, but this is still very much alive for Minnesota.
There's nobody there, though, for the side of London. Zero was actually in and around it. He gets taken down. Minnesota can start to stack this, Bryce.
They can. Afro desperately trying to hit this flank now. He knows he has to get into a position. It already comes through, but Priestahh had it locked in. Standy's going to go down, though. Nasty desperately for this one as well. Players getting in. Gizmo's going to go down, and it's going to be Minnesota. Minnesota have found this in the dying seconds. Oh, my goodness. It is not enough. A slip, a mistake, and an issue as Røkkr keep this series alive versus London.
Oh, and London will be so disappointed with that. Minnesota barely had a sniff in the previous 2 attacking rounds. And then they hit the panic button. The glide bomb comes in, which I don't hate. But you kill Zero as well. He's the only one left from London at that stage inside the point. Røkkr have somebody surviving. They have that pressure. They have that presence. And the rest of the Røkkr funnel on through. And London just can't answer back with the gunfight. It gets a bit chaotic inside the point, and all of a sudden Røkkr are just ticking up that control point very, very quickly, and all of a sudden we do have a series that had 3-0 written all over it for quite some time throughout that control.
Yeah, it was. I thought that was all done and dusted, but that glide bomb in pocket, it just didn't work out for them. Tunnen, I don't know what else to say. You thought maybe with that glide bomb they would be able to just deflect it and kind of put it back into him, but unfortunately you are right. When Zero went down, that puts him back onto respawn. Players weren't there from Ravens to get into position for the trades. The nades didn't work out for them, and essentially Minnesota just won all the gunfights they needed.
It's a tough one, isn't it? The glide bomb comes in, you've got to try and solidify something. And it was just the fact that, I mean, if Ravens had won one more gunfight, you clear them off the point. And it's such a different story. Ravens defended B so well in those previous 2 rounds. And maybe, honestly, it felt like that glide bomb, to a certain degree, maybe it was overthought by Gizmo. Is it like, oh, we've lost a couple of gunfights, hit it? In certain situations, would it might be better for him just to keep his gunny up, to try and win a couple of gunfights for the squad, then maybe use that to retake? Hindsight's 2020, of course, but maybe a slight overcomplication to think about another sort of, well, just another thing to think about, if you like.
I think Attach was a big force there for Minnesota. Like, he was causing issues for London when they were attacking every single time. Like, you saw him constantly enemy team spawn by that tank, making sure that London Royal Ravens didn't have all positions locked in. They were kind of worried about him, and you saw he was not only that, but he was shooting well as well, and he made a difference time and time again. But just a small backstep there for London cost them it, and it's clutch from Minnesota. They lock it in and they keep this series alive.
Just about, and then keep this series alive. I was looking, honestly, when we were heading around number 5, I was like, that's us done for the night then. It just felt that way with how convincing the defenses have been on both sides, to be honest with you. There'd been a sniff here and there from both squads on the attacking rounds, but nothing concrete, has to be said. I mean, all of a sudden we're heading to Berlin hardpoint. Tuscan Search and Destroy doesn't bode well for London either, so they'll want to close this out here on map number 4, Bryce.
Yeah, I think one of the worst parts of that is, obviously, we talked about Gizmo getting that glide bomb in the end, but like, what is he, like 13, 14, and 28 or 27? Like, I have to go back and double check, but yeah, actually quite a bad game from him to begin with, then catches fire, and then they lose. Like, how insane is that? A player who's been struggling eventually catches fire, gets the streak, starts winning the gunfights, and then you lose the game. Yeah, kind of insane.
It's a tough one to take because, as said, I think, you know, there's so many situations you could have said about that glide bomb, etc. But in that moment, you're losing a couple of gunfights. The threat is all of a sudden there. You're like, should I call it in? It's the insurance policy we have. You throw it in. It doesn't work out in the end. Røkkr will find the win in round number 5. And all of a sudden, we got a series on our hands. We head into a Berlin hardpoint next, Pricey, that Røkkr notoriously have not looked good on at all. I mean, my stats here, what was it? The 7-game loss streak on this map ended only last week for the side of Røkkr, so maybe they're feeling a little bit better about things on this map in particular. But it's not a map I would have thought would slip through. We're having a little bit of a chat about it. I'm not too sure why Gavutu was actually the ban that came up from the side of Røkkr, but I'm not too sure why it wouldn't have been Berlin. London 10-5. 4-9 from Minnesota. I said 7 losses in a row, just stopped against OpTic last week. So maybe they found that form. Maybe they found the formula, if you like, Brycey, and they're trusting in it. But still, I think overall on this pick and ban, I was a little bit perplexed to a certain degree from the side of Røkkr. But will they prove me wrong here on map number 4?
Well, we'll have to find out. That is going to be the real story for Minnesota. One of the kind of things we were talking about before this game as well is that I think it works out about 42% of the points for Minnesota Røkkr this season came from one set of qualifiers. They got the flawless. That's the kind of the crazy thing. They went flawless. They went 5-0 against everybody in qualifying, got 50 points from it. And that one single kind of set of qualifiers put them in an incredible position. But everywhere else, they really haven't had a good time, and that's one of the issues for this team moving forward, is they need to have another good series of qualifiers to try and get themselves in a good position.
The ARs from London Royal Ravens really firing when it does come down to Berlin. No shock to see it. Zero with a sensational series last week, hardpoint especially. 2KD. Can he bring that kind of level once more to close it out here for the Ravens, or do we see a map number 5? Røkkr on the more preferred side. Look like they're going to be broken here as Royal Ravens, the team with the highest break percentage on this map, up against the team who are sitting 11th in break percentage. So these rotations are going to be super important for the side of Røkkr. They're going to have to lock them in. If Ravens find their way through, this could get a little bit ugly. Ravens done well to break over towards P1. This rotation over towards P2. Priestahh is the first one there. This final 14 was being fought over, looking like it's going to go over towards the Ravens.
Well, you can see there's a little bit of a pinch coming through for that end time there in the end, but it won't be good enough, as now we go off to the races for P2. Attached in on the 3 streak as he cuts his way into it eventually, but they have been caught. Afro tries to get out towards Dogs, and Priestahh is ready and waiting, and has been for some time. At the moment, Røkkr are locked in for this one. Although, no, so I think they had to make a decision because nobody was actually on the time ton.
Gizmo's actually just won a gunfight over towards fire there, so that's going to create a little bit of situation here for the side of Røkkr. Which way do you look, essentially, for the side of London coming on through? They're going to break Afro. Nearly World Stars attached there. Zero's there for the final one, but the trades come through for Røkkr. Spawns over towards the dock side are going to help them out. 3 Nero from Zero is not enough to deter the side of Minnesota. For the Ravens, though, rotation over towards P3 is going to be crucial for them. They'll be maybe a little bit disappointed with their positioning over towards P2. They're the team who locked down the most points out of anybody on the game, and they're losing gunfights at the wrong time, Bryce.
They certainly are. Nasty is going to be in a bad position if he can't find out where exactly these Røkkr players are coming from.
That's a disaster.
And he hasn't managed to, and they've lost the spawns for this one. London are not in a position for this. You can only see Afro trying to do some work. He's top fire. This is where it gets dangerous. Can Minnesota hold this? They haven't actually got into the time again, and they cannot lose it as they break it from the hard direction. They choose not to look over towards platform. And while they still have the good spawn, they aren't getting the points.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on here from Røkkr. I mean, there's 3 of them watching street. I mean, get inside the point, boys. Afro's causing absolute havoc, and all of a sudden, Raven's just be able to walk alongside the plat side. Eventually, we'll get cleared out, but that's the first time the Røkkr have touched the point. There's 35 points remaining. It's such a big money. He'll get your boys inside the point.
Yeah, it's a great rotation from them, but 27 points thrown in the bin. You can see London going to give this one more opportunity to go for it as well. Havok going to end up trying to chase down Gizmo. He does. Zero's going to come through as well. But, oh, Nasty wins that gunfight for even less points for Røkkr. But eventually, Minnesota, they do lock it down. A great rotation, but maybe not the greatest hill they wanted for. And now they're going to go towards Trains. Benefit being, of course, that Trains isn't always the easiest to hold for that many points.
Afro just looking down P2 by the looks of things here. Holding it down as best he can, but Priestahh wins 2 gunfights coming through Train. The Ravens did seemingly have a really good setup, but then Priestah's shown up. 3 kills for him. Havok then following it up. Røkkr really running with the punches at this moment in time. Afro just surviving. Not going to see the one on his right-hand side. London just about keeping some sort of control, but that doesn't help things. Priestahh, 7 in a row. Glide bomb in the back pocket. London still with the spawns over towards this P4 hill, but they have getting very little time, Bryce.
Havok going to find Kismet up top as well, and just big kills all around eventually. Minnesota Røkkr do manage to break into this one. Kind of a similar story here. London was set up, but they didn't really get anything from it. And now, Minnesota Røkkr just looking to continue to put the pressure on here. Not so much about gaining the points, but holding their position and punishing London for every step they take.
Keep an eye on Afro making his way around the dock side. He'll be looking to try and flip it. Not going to happen. Havok is there. Attach will find another onto Nasty. Royal Ravens, it feels like they're all at sea at this moment in time. Attach 11 and 4. Priestahh 11 and 6. I said that glide bomb in the back pocket. If they can lock down fire side, get some decent chunk of time over towards P5 here. They're in a great position heading over towards P4, or P1 I should say. This could get to a scary lead for Minnesota Røkkr if they play their cards right.
Just having players do very, very well. Nasty eventually takes down Attach, who has been pretty hot this game as well. It's going to drop here. The trade's trying to come through for London, but they're not managing. It's all Minnesota again. And while P5 hasn't really been jumped on for Minnesota, they have been winning the gunfights they need. I say that, and London are looking to try and flip this spawn. You can already see Zero just continuously pre-aiming all the way through platform. He knows if his team just have to go up an equal and don't leave his back open, he can hold P1 open for them.
Oh, does he have any support here with the push coming through from Secret? Oh, Havok's actually going to manage to find that kill as well. So that could be important for the side of Røkkr, who now do have this plat control with the push through over towards P1. They've got the beneficial spawns for P1. They're inside of P1 now as well. Things are getting a little bit scary. They may get scary for the side of London Royal Ravens if you don't win these gunfights. Havok from behind as well is going to be a thorn in the side. Not for much longer. Afro will find that kill. London need to keep a hold of this. It really was not a good first rotation out of them. All the way P2, 3, 4, 5. Disadvantage all the way through. If they can lock down some decent time over towards P1 to put themselves right back in it though.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, this entire time is going to come off the back of Zero. He looks like he's doing nothing right. That pre-aim all the way has just held the door open for his team to get into this point, and it brought them right back into the game, and it's why P1 is such an important rotation. You hear us talk about it over and over again. P5, you obviously have to try and get fire control. You have to flip it here. Not for the Ravens this time. As we go over to P2, Minnesota did a great job here before. Can they do it again? As Nasty's looking for Priestahh, but Priestahh just ducks his head down enough. And Nasty can't get him.
Can't get rid of him. Another good rotation from Røkkr over towards P2. As mentioned, London are the team who are scoring the most out of any team in the CDL. Over towards this P2 hill on Berlin. They haven't been able to break the setup coming in from Røkkr. Maybe learning some tips off the side of Ravens for locking this one down, but you can't equate for that happening. Afro will find a second, one that he shouldn't have done, and London find a way through the front door. Tash will find two of his own, though, as Zero then comes on through. Spawns a flip, though. Røkkr will have them over towards P4, so not the end of the world from them, but London are in and stopping Røkkr getting a hold of all of these points this time.
Such a tight game as Afro wins his second kill there, but it is going to be about this rotation. Last time around, Røkkr had it, but just didn't get as many points as they would like, as Afro's just trying to stay alive. Nobody really else here for the team of London. And this time, Minnesota Røkkr have this completely locked. There is nobody here from the Ravens that can take the spawns away from them.
Ravens going to do the same route as they did last time, though. Yes, okay, of course, we said that Røkkr wouldn't any purchase inside the point, but it's going to be a hit through towards the plant pots and fire. Nasty will find one. Is that the start of something here, potentially? Gizmo causing some havoc down the street side. Is anybody else here from the Ravens to try and make that breakthrough while the backs are turned? Nasty finds a way through. Not quite enough. Good hold from Røkkr so far. 40 seconds remaining here. This is great time.
Yeah, Røkkr doing a great job this time around. They have held it down over and over again. You can see London are going to have to try and go for a heartbreak. A couple of kills doesn't really matter. This is the position that these spawns give you over and over again. You can get in, but Zero's managed to get a wall bang coming through. Attack's going to try and hold them, but a double chow comes and stops him dead. London have broken in for the final bits of scrap time here to try and tie this game back up. Minnesota will push it, considering that spawn is basically just a hop, skip, and a jump away from this point. They get back into it, and we are off to train again.
We head over towards train. That could have been a lot worse for London. That 10 seconds there and there is a 20-point difference swing, isn't it? It can change things up so differently. Røkkr could have been sitting at 200. London could have been a bit further back. As it goes, it's about a 20-odd point game. And here comes the glide bomb. Last time around, Priestahh didn't need it to try and break over towards P4. He's going to use it to help them do so this time. Afro will be the first to fall. Nasty follows. Zero's the only one who can answer back momentarily. The rest of the spawns, where they're going to be here for the side of London. Luckily, Afro finds Priestahh, who is finding the wraparound. Just about spawns behind him. Gizmo locks that one down, and that glide bomb is found. This side of Røkkr, very little.
Attached still towards the back here, and that's all they're trying to do. Just hold this down as much as possible. Afro and Havok still going at it. Eventually, London clear their lines. 22 seconds, and that's probably going to be all towards London. They'll take that, and they'll think about P5. One of the things both teams will now be thinking about as well is that P1 rotation. We saw how dangerous it was when London locked it in last time. Minnesota will not want to make the same mistake.
Heading in towards the last stages of that second rotation, having a look towards the scoreboard. Standy, typically one of the worst performers on this map at a 0.8, continuing that form. 12 and 24. Need to see a little bit more of him in and around these hills. What can he do to cause chaos? Gizmo 13 and 20, not having the best of games himself, but everybody else on the side of Royal Ravens firing. It's a lead for them now. With 40 seconds or so remaining, they've flipped those spawns. Fire control for Ravens, that is massive.
Afro trying to hold it down this time as well, but I will say Minnesota doing a much better job. They've done exactly what the Ravens did last time.
Good time.
They've got players into P1, and they are going to be in the lead by 1 point.
Flipped it again.
Minnesota. This is all Minnesota at the moment. They may give up this last 20 seconds to try and lock it down, but Zero on the flank. Pressure coming through. Gizmo finds another one as well, and Gizmo's looking for it. He's trying to clear it out. He knows where this player's going. He's chasing over and over again. Comes from the corner to two players. Maybe a little bit ambitious in the end as the players fly through into secret.
Zero.
But this is scrappy ton.
It's so scrappy, but Zero's the one who pushed through fire. He's now found himself inside of P1, trying to do his best, try and find the kill. Standy, we said he hasn't performed very much, but that's 3 in a row on the rotation over towards P1, and it could be huge for the side of Røkkr. They can not quite win it yet. Royal Ravens won't allow that either way, but it has to be said, Røkkr, fantastic break comes on through, and all of a sudden, all guns are blazing for the side of Røkkr. They've got P1 locked in.
They have the opportunity. They have the means and the methods. You can already see Zero trying to stay alive and towards platform. They don't want to give it to him as well. Zero somehow finds a second one and gets into the point, stopping Røkkr in its place. Eventually will go down as Priestahh finds two. Gizmo makes one onto the flank, but he will go down as well. But Dashy through the front gets two himself. This is chaotic. And that's going to tie it up.
I mean, Røkkr have done so well on this hill, though, heading over towards P2. It has been so good for them in this game, and it needs to be good again if they want to see them at number 5. Ravens will tie this up pretty much as we head over towards P2.
Røkkr are in to begin with. Gizmo finds a kill, though. Dives in. Afro gets attached. Sorry, the other way around. Attached gets Afro. Zero's gone back into it, and it's now Ravens who have control. They have the first set of kills. And now it's Minnesota. Minnesota have to fly. They have to try and get the bodies together to try and chow this at one time. Gizmo already guns one down by double windows. 15 seconds remaining. And here comes the rain for Minnesota. One last opportunity to try to clutch it out as Ravens dip out the point for a second. And Gizmo guns him through the doorway. And it's coming down to his bodies flying from both sides, Ton.
You got to think about rotation if you're the side of London. You really have to think about it if you're the side of Røkkr. 20 seconds remaining. Actually, Minnesota could just win it there, but they can't anymore. Now Ravens inside the point. They're not thinking about rotation. They want to win it here. Standy with 2. Gizmo and Afro combining. Everybody from Røkkr drops. Ravens going to win it in 4. Priestahh can't get there, and Ravens lock it in.
Wow, time and time again, we saw Røkkr doing the work on P2, but it is not the case this time around. The Ravens lock down Berlin. They take this game. 3-1 for them, 10 more points. It puts them into what I'm currently calling the safety zone. Technically, they are not fully locked in for champs due to some miracle wizardry, but with 170 points, the London Royal Ravens have all but stamped that ticket to champs at the end of the season. For Røkkr, another disappointing loss, another 10 points in the wind. They are still going to be outside the bubble for champs at the moment. And this team is facing pressure every step of the way. What becomes of Minnesota Røkkr as this season progresses?
Zero just continues his phenomenal hardpoint form. A great game out of him, but I don't want to touch on it too much, but Standy, he heated up towards the end. We needed to see that all the way through. You can't necessarily blame it on specific players, but I want a couple of moments here and there from Røkkr. We talked about this when it was happening. Had so much control towards P3. They weren't doing anything with it. Those kind of small moments here and there can make a difference in a hardpoint game when it is that close towards the end. But Ravens, I mean, it was so back and forth. Honestly, I'm struggling to even figure out which way it was won or lost, but it felt like that final rotation over towards P1, London, they lost it initially. Røkkr did so well to get in, but London would just not go away. It was like Zero would find 2 out of nothing. Nasty would find 2 out of nothing. And they were just so stubborn. They would not go away over towards P1, and then heading over towards P2, you get a bit of an advantage. You lock it in. And the problem is, in that scenario, Bryce, you've got to think about rotation if you're Røkkr especially. You have to make sure you're locking down that time because you can't win where you are. Ravens are so close. It's a money hill. So many things to think about. It's pretty much just let the bodies hit the floor and see what happens.
I was convinced that Røkkr had done just enough there, especially with Standy making that kill. I was like, they are in. They're in a great position. Zero is going to find 2 here, and this is the kind of the crazy thing. He shouldn't have found either of them. And it just caused issues for Minnesota Røkkr because they had to not fully give towards P2. That's what they wanted. They wanted to get the rotations there in time. They weren't able to. And it's a tight series. The issue you're going to have as a Minnesota fan is they keep coming close. But unfortunately, you don't get 8 points for close. You get 0.
Yeah, I mean, it's a round away on the Search and Destroyer, 20 points away in map number 4. It's a painful way to lose. And honestly, you look at the form of both these two teams in the previous stage. Minnesota would have had a nice little pin on this match and sort of said to themselves, this is a very winnable game. They're starting to lose a lot of these winnable games, Brycey. Last week against Florida, this week now, of course, against London. Those are 2 games they would have looked at and said, right, these aren't necessarily bankers, but we can very much find some points here. These will be good points to find. They haven't been able to do so. But I mean, on the other side of things, London's resurgence continues. That's, again, another good performance against a very good team who specifically online in the last stage were great. I don't know where either one of these 2 teams are feeling after this one, but I think I'd rather be in the London camp, if I'm honest.
Well, yeah, I kind of agree with you. They're in a really good position, but there's lots to break down about that game and how we thought these teams did, but it's not our job. It is, of course, the desk job, so let's find out how they are feeling over there.
That's my job, man. Give me my spotlight back now. I'm playing around. But yo, shout out to London Royal Ravens. But you know what? This game, I mean, this series got just so crazy towards the end for the simple fact that the Minnesota Røkkr walking into this series were what, 5 points out of the way from being in top 8 for contention for champs, right? Nameless. They lost that. London won 10 points. Where does Minnesota stand?
Oh man, that is such a tough loss for Minnesota. Not only because of the points, like they only have what, two games left here that they got to win both of them to be in a good spot. And you know, looking at Minnesota Røkkr, they just gave the London Royal Ravens an additional 10 points. So for Ravens, they're sitting pretty now. It's like we need 1 or 2 more wins, and we're like in a spot where we might be locked for champs for Røkkr. That was one of the games you look at on the schedule, and you're like, we're winning this one. That is an auto lock, and you come into this one, you lose 1-3, and also Veli, if they were able to get it to game 5, they had a massive advantage. London Ravens are 0-3 on Tuscan S&D, and looking back at the series, some of the opportunities that they had in this series, like that round 11, they get the bomb down, the instant push, Priestahh sitting back sand. If Priestahh looks at above bomb site, up top bricks, and gets one of those kills to slow down that pressure, even weakens them with a bullet or two, puts himself in a better position, they might win that round. Like so many moments in this series just got away from them. At the very end, when they're holding P1 and they get rebroken because Zero gets a 2-piece staring right into the middle of the hill. Like these little situations for Minnesota Røkkr, it's been all season long, and it has to be so painful for them.
Right, let's take a look at Minnesota's path to Major IV, by the way, where they just got a loss against the London Royal Ravens, a team that we knew they were back with that swagger. Gizmo told us in that interview, but the remaining matches for the Minnesota Røkkr are against the Major III champions, the Seattle Surge, then Paris Legion, a team that you just can't count out. But we actually, you have a last word you want to say?
No, I was just gonna say, it's a tough schedule. Like they gotta play Seattle, they lose that. They beat Paris, I mean, then they hope for a tiebreaker, so we'll see.
It's looking rough, but you know who's not looking rough for? Treyboy Cardi, AKA Zero for the London Royal Ravens. We have a game field victory spotlight with my mans. My question to you is, Zero, well, first off, congrats on the big win, right? Second, now that Gizmo's back in the mix, you guys are looking so much more dynamic, so much better now, right? What's the next thing on the list that you and your team want to work on to get better before you head out to Brooklyn for Major IV?
Honestly, I feel like we've got a lot of things down right now in terms of, especially like S&D and hardpoint right now. We're getting back to where we were. Control's a bit of an issue right now. You know, you just saw there. I mean, I say a bit of an issue. I literally just got glide bombed through a wall for the loss, so you can't do anything about that. Just shout out the game. And other than that, just comms and individual effort and everything like that, it's got to be on top of. It's got to be better than what we've done in the past. Our highest placing was top 3, and we know we can do way better. So individual, being a better teammate and everything like that. Since Joey's been back, it's been pristine. So you know, 40 somewhat days left. We have to go even harder than we did for the past year, and you know, see where we end up at the end of it.
I love it.
Same. Zero, congratulations on the win, man. You guys look so much better, in a way better spot to hit that qualification for champs. But I gotta ask you, you know, Gizmo comes back into the team. You guys win 2 series. It looks so much different than the last iteration of the roster that you guys had. And, you know, Gizmo playing great, but didn't have the best performance individually. So I gotta ask, what is it that he brings to this team that allows you guys, the core 3, to play so much better?
Honestly, you know, I won't allow any Harry slander in terms of how well we compare the 2. Harry's an unreal player, so, you know, thank you to him coming out in a bad situation. Like, it wasn't exactly the best situation to be in. But Joey coming back, you saw at the start of the year, pacing, the energy, the gas that he receives, like, from us, helps him play better, and just all-round general skill. Him coming back, you know, it's made me play a lot better. It makes everyone else play better because they don't have to worry about certain being faster, being slower. As you can see, I'm now a snail, so shout out to Joey for being.
Did notice.
And yeah, hopefully, I've lost a lot of weight and this caffeine has absolutely fucked me today.
We're gonna make it.
I'm shaking everywhere, so
We're gonna make the rest of this easy for you. Oh, by the way, yeah, no Harry slander ever. We love Harry, right? But also, last thing I want to ask you, when Gizmo went on his crazy streak in Search and Destroy, I think it was, what, 6-0? What was his vibes like? Because I know he brings the energy for you guys.
Well, he was 6-0, and then he was in a 1v3, and then one of them threw their lives to Joey, and he just got a freebie. So shout out to whoever that was, gave us a free glide. Appreciate you. Probably wouldn't have done the same myself, but But yeah, his vibes were great. Joey's great. He's been an absolute pleasure to have back after everything he's been through. So, you know, he's always got me. He's always got a team. You know, we're always going to help him out when need be. And, you know, it's an absolute pleasure playing with him.
All right, 1.05 on the day. You got a big win as well. You're spoiling Minnesota's chances to go to champs. You take it easy, all right?
Yeah, you too, boys. Have a good day.
Take it easy, man.
Did he just say that after hearing his KD?
I think so. He said, "Oh, sweet." He's like ready for the line card to come out.
Right now, to close out this series, man. Any last words you got?
The pressure is on for Minnesota officially. If it wasn't on before that match, it certainly is now. I mean, that was a winnable game, obviously. Like I said, a couple little moments for them, and now they have to play the Seattle Surge in their next series. I mean, the only way that you can almost guarantee having a winner spot is by going 3-2, right? And even then, you might get into some tiebreaker scenario. But now they absolutely have to come out and do the impossible. With how Seattle's looked, that's an extremely tough game. So for them, gotta turn up.
Minnesota's going to definitely have to get an upset in that matchup right there. But also, we have a Scump play of the game, which is round 11 for that Search and Destroy. Nameless, you were talking about this as well, man, a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about this right before that interview. It's like in this round, you see Priestahh all the way back there deep sand, and, you know, they get that bomb down, and he sort of just, like, looks to the right. I think he was so worried about Zero, because we saw Zero multiple rounds on this map picking up the first blood with the sniper. But you see right here, he's watching over there, and then they just, when they retake, when Ravens just retake site, they just run up through mid. One player goes up top as well. If he just pokes out and tries to help the team there or gets a little bit more aggressive, like, they have control and they might end up winning that round. So for them, it's just hectic, man. We saw them slow playing it a couple rounds prior to that. In this round, they wanted to just play a little bit faster near that bomb site, but London wasn't having it. They're like, we're coming straight at you. We're retaking.
Oh, they're not having it at all. Also, for those of you out there that are looking forward to the events that are coming up really soon, by the way, get your tickets, okay? Because Major IV is right around the corner. We're not going just to Brooklyn, baby. We're also going to Boston for the Challengers Open. If Allie was here, she'd be singing her praises right now, all about the Passion Pit. Nameless, can't wait to see this big event go down, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, we've seen everybody tweeting about Challengers, everybody getting hyped. Like, this is really your last opportunity to showcase your talents, right? Like, these teams, come on now. We've seen some teams this year that have just been underwhelming. They're going to be going to Challengers to try to grab those players and make those super rosters going into next year. So you got to turn up, get your tickets, and come to Boston for the Challengers Open July 8th. I mean, it's coming up.
Things are getting shaken up, too. I think Mohawk is a free Asian right now from Toronto Ultra Academy. But also, ladies and gentlemen, everything that we have done this year all comes down to this moment. Get your champs tickets now. We're going to see you guys live at the Galen Center August 4th through the 7th.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a dang good time. My first ever champs I'm going to, by the way.
Listen, man, we did champs in the Galen Center before. It's an amazing time. Bro. It's super fun. It's so loud. So, yeah, if you have an opportunity and the means to make it out, make sure you go to that event. It's an event like none other, and you get to see history in the making.
I can't wait to see all of you cuties out there. But also, ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to see this next matchup at hand. It's going to be a good one that I wish our other analyst was here for. Shout out to Allie. It's going to be the Boston Breach facing off against, okay, check this out, the Major III champions, the Seattle Surge, the team that is on top of the game right now, all behind their submachine gun player. It's like a superstar. It's going to be Pred, but once again, hey, shout out to the London Royal Ravens because they're back, and we'll see you soon.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official communication partner of the Call of Duty League. And AimLab, official first-person training partner of the Call of Duty League. Unleash your potential.
Hey, we interrupt this programming to bring you a very important message. Did you guys buy your tickets for Major IV yet? Buy your tickets at nyxl.com/major, and you can come see me July 14th through 17th at the King's Theater. I swear to God, you better do that. You better do it. You better buy your tickets, all right? You ain't getting in if you don't have tickets, so what are you doing? Don't make me mad. Don't do that. Don't make me mad.
Either way, accuracy! 10 seconds, he gotta go, he's gotta fly! Would he get the kill? No! Accuracy stays alive! Players off the point, Mack staying alive as long as he can! What a beautiful flank this could be! The second, oh God, the round's gone!